The forbidden forest. The sun hummed low in the sky, casting elongated shadows across the rugged terrain of Valeria. 9-year-old Lena, with her wild curls bouncing around her shoulders and bright inquisitive eyes, darted through the makeshift paths of her village. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and wildflowers, mingling with an undercurrent of tension that hung heavily in the atmosphere. Her grandfather, a weary man with deep lines etched into his sun-kissed skin, had warned her countless times about the Zur, the fierce, enigmatic tribe of women who lived deep within the forbidden forest. He spoke often of their ferocity, their insatiable hunger, and how any human who dared to venture into their territory would never return. Yet, despite his warnings, the stories whispered through the winds called to her, igniting a flame of curiosity that burned brighter than her fear. Lena, her grandfather's voice boomed, pulling her back to reality. Stay close. There are still threats out there, and the forest is no place for a child. I know, Grandpa, she replied defiantly. But what if they're not monsters? What if they're just like us? His gaze hardened as he searched hers for understanding. Those women are hungry, Lena. Hunger makes beasts of us all. But Lena was already slipping away, her adventurous spirit pulling her toward the edge of the village, where the forest loomed like a dark guardian. As she stepped into its dense, shadowy depths, she felt as though she were crossing into another world entirely. The air thickened with tension. Silence reigned except for the rustle of leaves and distant calls from unseen creatures. Lena's heart pounded in her chest, each beat a reminder of the risks she was taking. She pressed on, her senses heightened. Every shadow seemed like a potential threat, every rustle heralding something unknown. Images from her grandfather's stories danced through her mind. Fierce women with glimmering eyes who guarded secrets that her village could only dream of. Suddenly, swift movements caught her attention. She froze, breath caught in her throat as figures emerged from the underbrush. The Zur were upon her. Their fierce eyes glimmered with an unsettling intensity as they encircled her like predators sizing up their prey. "What do we have here?" One of them spoke, a voice smooth yet commanding that sliced through the tension like a knife. Her dark hair fell in waves, framing a face that was both beautiful and fearsome. "A lost little human wandering into our domain. Do you not fear for your life, child?" Lena swallowed hard. She could feel the weight of their gazes assessing her worth and vulnerability. I'm not afraid," she stammered, summoning every ounce of courage she had left. "I came to see if you could help." "Help?" Another Zur stepped forward. Skepticism mingled with intrigue in her expression. "Help with what? We need nothing from your kind." Lena took a deep breath. Resolve hardened within her as she spoke again. "We are suffering. The Thir are attacking my village, and I thought, maybe we could work together. You need food, we need protection." The Zurs exchanged glances. Suspicion shifted to contemplation as they weighed her words carefully. Lena felt tension crackle in the air, the weight of what she proposed hanging heavily between them. She had ventured into the heart of the unknown, and now stood on the precipice of something profound. "Very brave little human," one Zur said slowly. Amusement tinged her voice, but was undercut by caution. "Bravery often leads to foolishness, and foolishness can be deadly in these woods." Lena squared her shoulders. Determination shone in her bright eyes. "Maybe," she replied firmly, "but sometimes it's the only way to survive." The Zurs stared at her. Their fierce eyes glimmered with a mix of hunger, both literal and metaphorical, and intrigue, as they considered this small human girl who dared to challenge them. In that moment, Lena felt an unexpected connection forming, a thread woven from courage that began to bind them together despite their differences. As they led her deeper into their camp, Lena felt both fear and flickers of hope intertwining within her heart. This world was unlike anything she had ever seen. Strange symbols carved into trees intertwined with shimmering fabrics that danced in harmony with nature itself. Despite being treated cautiously, neither as prey nor outright enemy, She realized that there was respect in how they regarded her. "Let me learn your language," Lena implored one younger Zur woman named Kayla who had been assigned to watch over her. "I want to understand you." Kayla looked taken aback, but nodded slowly. "You wish to learn our tongue? It is difficult." "I can try," Lena replied eagerly. Enthusiasm radiated from her small frame. Days turned into weeks as Lena immersed herself in Zur culture, each lesson revealing layers of complexity within their stories and struggles that had defined them long before Tyr arrived on their lands. One evening, as they sat around a flickering fire beneath a canopy of stars, Lena asked curiously, "Why do you not fight back?" Kayla sighed deeply, sorrow reflected in her eyes as she spoke softly. "We have lost too many. We are but shadows of what we once were. But if we unite our strengths," Lena exclaimed passionately, "we can reclaim our homes. Together, we can be stronger than we are apart." Kayla looked at her intently, hope ignited within those deep-set eyes, as she whispered back, "You think so?" "I know so," Lena affirmed resolutely. Determination solidified in that moment as an unbreakable bond began to form, not just between two girls from different worlds, but potentially bridging gaps between their peoples. As night fell deeper around them, the forest alive with whispers, Lena realized that perhaps this journey would lead them towards something extraordinary, an alliance born from courage amidst adversity. And so began their tale, a story woven through bravery where one small girl dared to challenge fate itself against impossible odds. A proposal for alliance. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm golden hue over the forbidden forest, Lena found herself seated among the Zur women, her heart racing with a mix of fear and determination. The towering figures surrounded her, their fierce expressions softened by curiosity. She had taken a bold step into their world, and now it was time to prove that her intentions were genuine. The weight of words. "Why should we trust you?" Sherry, the imposing leader of the Zur, asked, her voice steady and commanding. The other women leaned in closer, their eyes fixed on Lena with a mixture of skepticism and intrigue. "You are but a child. What do you know of our struggles?" Lena felt the weight of their gazes upon her. She took a deep breath, summoning every ounce of courage she possessed. "I know what it's like to lose everything," she replied, her voice steady despite the tremor in her heart. "The Tyr took my family from me. They destroyed my home. I came here hoping to find a way to help both our peoples." A murmur rippled through the gathered women as they exchanged glances. Lena could sense their hesitation. They were warriors who had faced unimaginable loss and suffering at the hands of humans before. But she also felt a flicker of hope igniting within them, a spark that mirrored her own. A shared pain. Kayla, a younger Zur woman with deep-set eyes and wild hair that mirrored Lena's own, stepped forward. "What do you propose?" she asked softly, her voice barely above a whisper. Lena's heart raced as she considered the enormity of the plan brewing in her mind. "We need to gather our resources and share our knowledge," she began passionately. "You know the forest and its secrets better than anyone. We need that to outsmart the Tyr. In return, we can offer food and shelter. Your people have strength we can't match, and we have numbers." Sherry's brow furrowed as she contemplated Lena's proposal. "It is dangerous to trust," she warned, crossing her arms over her chest. "My people have suffered greatly at the hands of humans before. Why should we believe you will not betray us?" A plea for unity. "Because I am just a girl who lost her family," Lena responded earnestly, her voice rising with passion. "I have nothing to gain from lying to you. If we don't act together, we will all perish one way or another." The Zur leaders studied her closely, weighing her words carefully. Lena could feel the tension in the air. It was thick with uncertainty yet charged with potential. Finally, Kayla spoke again, this time with newfound conviction in her voice. "I believe in you, Lena," she said, her eyes brightening with hope. "If we can find a way to work together, maybe we can drive the Tyr from our lands." Lena felt a surge of relief wash over her. This was the moment she had been waiting for. The formation of an alliance. "It's settled then," Sherry declared, her tone shifting from skepticism to cautious acceptance. "We will unite." As Lena absorbed this monumental decision, she felt an overwhelming sense of purpose swell within her chest. Together, they would forge an alliance, one born from shared pain and mutual respect. "I will teach you about our ways," Sherry continued, "and you will teach me about yours." Lena nodded vigorously. Excitement bubbled up inside her as she envisioned what lay ahead. A journey that would not only change their fates, but also bridge the gap between two worlds. Learning each other's ways. Days turned into weeks as Lena immersed herself in Zur culture, each lesson revealing layers of complexity within their stories and struggles that had defined them long before Tyr arrived on their lands. She learned about their fierce connection to nature and how they revered the land as sacred, a living entity that provided for them in times of need. They shared tales of ancient rituals performed under moonlit skies and songs sung to honor their ancestors. In return, Lena shared stories from her village, of laughter echoing through fields during harvest festivals and children playing by rivers filled with joy instead of fear. Building trust. As they exchanged knowledge, trust began to blossom between them like wildflowers breaking through cracks in stone. Lena found herself growing closer to Kayla. They spent countless evenings sitting by the fire sharing dreams for a future free from fear. One night, under a blanket of stars, Lena turned to Kayla with wide eyes filled with determination. "What if we could gather everyone, both humans and Zurs, to stand against the fear?" Kayla's expression shifted from surprise to contemplation as she considered this possibility. "It would require immense courage," she mused thoughtfully. "But if we unite our strengths," Lena pressed on eagerly, "we can reclaim our homes. Together, we can be stronger than we are apart." The first steps. Kayla looked at Lena intently, hope ignited within those deep-set eyes, as she whispered back, "You think so?" "I know so," Lena affirmed resolutely. Determination solidified in that moment as an unbreakable bond began to form, not just between two girls from different worlds, but potentially bridging gaps between their peoples. As night fell deeper around them, the forest alive with whispers, Lena realized that perhaps this journey would lead them towards something extraordinary, an alliance born from courage amidst adversity. Preparing for battle. With each passing day, plans began to take shape. They started gathering resources while training together in secret, Zurs teaching Lena how to navigate the forest while she taught them about human strategies for survival. They mapped out locations where Tyr were known to strike and discussed tactics on how best to defend themselves when the time came. Lena felt invigorated by this newfound sense of purpose. She had transformed from a frightened girl into a leader who inspired hope among those around her. Facing doubts. Yet doubts still lingered in some corners of their camp. Whispers echoed among certain Zur women who questioned whether trusting a human was wise after all they had endured at humanity's hands. But Sherry stood firm beside Lena, her unwavering support bolstering confidence within both groups as they prepared for what lay ahead. "Together we will face whatever comes," Sherry declared one evening as they gathered around the fire, her fierce gaze sweeping across each member present. "We are not just fighting for ourselves, but for all who have suffered." A new dawn. As dawn broke over Valeria, a new day filled with promise, Lena stood at the edge of their camp looking out toward where Tyr forces were rumored to be gathering. Her heart raced with anticipation. Today marked not only a turning point for herself, but also for both humans and Zurs alike, a chance at redemption through unity forged amidst turmoil. With renewed determination coursing through her veins, Lena turned back toward camp, readying herself for battle, knowing deep down that together they would rise against adversity stronger than ever before, learning and growing together. As the days turned into weeks, Lena found herself becoming an integral part of the Zur tribe. The forest, once a place of fear and uncertainty, transformed into a vibrant world filled with lessons and laughter. The towering trees whispered secrets, and the streams sang songs of unity as Lena learned to navigate this new life alongside the Zur women. Embracing the culture, Lena's mornings began with Kayla, who had become her closest friend among the Zurs. Each day, they would sit by the riverbank, where the sunlight filtered through the leaves, creating a mosaic of light and shadow on the ground. Kayla would teach Lena their language, a melodic blend of sounds that felt like music to her ears. "Repeat after me," Kayla instructed, her voice bright with enthusiasm. "Narathul," she said, which meant friend in Zur. "Narathul," Lena echoed, her eyes sparkling with excitement. With each word she learned, Lena felt more connected to these fierce women who had once seemed so foreign to her. As they practiced their vocabulary, Lena shared stories from her own life. She spoke of the laughter that filled her village during harvest festivals and how children played by the riverside without fear. The Zurs listened intently, their expressions shifting from skepticism to wonder. Building bonds. One evening, as they gathered around a crackling fire, Lena noticed Sherry observing her with a thoughtful expression. The imposing leader had softened since Lena first arrived. She no longer regarded Lena merely as a human child, but as a potential ally. "Tell us more about your home," Sherry encouraged, her voice steady yet inviting. "What do you celebrate?" Lena's heart swelled with pride as she recounted tales of community gatherings where families came together to share food and stories. She described how they honored their ancestors and celebrated the changing seasons with joy and gratitude. The Zurs listened closely, captivated by Lena's words. In return, they shared their own traditions, ceremonies held under moonlit skies where they honored the spirits of the forest and sought guidance from their ancestors. A shared vision. As trust blossomed between them, discussions turned toward their common enemy, the Thyr. Lena realized that while she had come seeking help for her village, this alliance could be much more profound than she had ever imagined. One day during a training session in the forest clearing, Lena proposed an idea that ignited excitement among the Zurs. "What if we create a plan to defend both our peoples? We can use your knowledge of the land and our numbers to outsmart them." Kayla's eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. "Yes, we know every hidden path and secret in these woods, if we can lure them into our territory." Sherry nodded thoughtfully. "We can set traps and ambush them when they least expect it." Lena felt a surge of hope as they began brainstorming strategies together. They sketched maps in the dirt, outlining potential ambush points and escape routes. Each idea sparked laughter and camaraderie as they envisioned a future where both humans and Zurs could live without fear. Training together. With newfound determination coursing through their veins, Lena joined the Zur women in their training sessions. She learned how to move silently through the forest like a shadow, how to listen for signs of danger in the rustling leaves or distant animal calls. Kayla taught her how to wield a small dagger, an unfamiliar weight in her hand, but one that made her feel empowered. "You must be quick and precise," Kayla instructed as they practiced together under Sherry's watchful eye. Lena stumbled at first, but soon found rhythm in her movements. The exhilaration of mastering new skills filled her with confidence. She was no longer just a girl from a village, but a warrior preparing to protect her home. Facing doubts. Yet doubts lingered at the edges of their training sessions, the shadows of fear creeping back into their hearts. One evening, as they gathered around the fire after a long day of practice, Sherry spoke up. "What if we fail?" she asked quietly, vulnerability creeping into her voice for the first time since Lena had met her. Lena looked around at the faces illuminated by flickering flames, each woman carrying scars from battles fought long ago. "We won't fail," she replied firmly. "We have each other now." Kayla nodded in agreement. "Together we are stronger than we've ever been alone." The fire crackled softly as they shared stories of resilience, of battles fought and lost, but never forgotten. Each tale wove them closer together, They were no longer just allies but sisters bound by shared pain and hope. Preparing for confrontation. As days passed, anticipation filled the air like electricity before a storm. They trained harder than ever before. Every swing of a dagger or practiced maneuver brought them closer to being ready for whatever lay ahead. Lena felt an unyielding sense of purpose driving her forward. She was determined not only to protect her village, but also to honor the Zers who had accepted her into their fold. One night, under a blanket of stars, Lena stood at the edge of their camp, gazing out toward where Thir forces were rumored to be gathering. She could feel the weight of destiny pressing down upon her. A momentous confrontation loomed on the horizon. The night before battle. On the eve of battle, Lena gathered with Kayla and Sherry beneath an ancient oak tree, their makeshift war council meeting held under its protective branches. "We have trained hard," Sherry began solemnly, "but tomorrow will test our resolve." Lena swallowed hard. Uncertainty flickered within her chest like a candle struggling against wind. "We've come too far to turn back now," she replied fiercely. Kayla placed a reassuring hand on Lena's shoulder. "We fight not just for ourselves, but for all those who cannot." In that moment of solidarity beneath starlit skies, a bond forged through trials became unbreakable. They were ready to face whatever challenges awaited them together. The dawn of battle. As dawn broke over Valeria, a new day filled with promise. Lena stood alongside Kayla and Sherry at the edge of their camp, looking out toward where Thir forces were rumored to be gathering. Her heart raced with anticipation. Today marked not only a turning point for herself, but also for both humans and Zers alike, a chance at redemption through unity forged amidst turmoil. With renewed determination coursing through her veins, Lena turned back toward camp, readying herself for battle, knowing deep down that together they would rise against adversity stronger than ever before. And so began their tale. A story woven through bravery where one small girl dared to challenge fate itself against impossible odds.